Excuse me? What?
But that's alright.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo guys, real quick before the video starts, if you haven't watched part 1 of the Will It Eraser series, I definitely recommend checking that out because I explain a lot of the mechanics that are going to be used in this video, and it is definitely helpful to understand those before you see the things that are going to happen here. So a little link up there, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Yo guys, what is up? Max on Borderlands 3 video, and today we are continuing our Will It Eraser series. The feedback on the first one was really great, and today we're focusing on Jacob's weapons. There is a lot of innate synergy with Jacob's weapons and Eraser in that they ricochet, but turns out Jacob's don't work that well. We're going to be testing some Jacob's weapons that may be exceptions and see if we can get them to do cool Eraser things. If you guys do enjoy the video, if you learn anything new, be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And that, guys, let's get into it. So our first weapon that we're going to be testing today on Will It Eraser episode 2 is the Lucky 7. This thing, if you roll it properly, should have innate crits, and we'll see if we can make it do anything cool. I'm rocking a little bit of a terror ammo regen setup just to try to maintain this thing, so hopefully that works out well, and we'll see if it causes Eraser. It's not doing anything spectacular. Not doing anything spectacular at all so far. It's just doing Lucky 7 things. We've got no unlisted projectiles really happening here. I mean, we are getting the extra from the thing, but I'm not sure if those are really working with Eraser at all. Cool. Those are shock immune enemies. I don't have any damage besides shock. Well, that's the GG's. For our first episode, our first test of today's episode, Will It Eraser, the Lucky 7 is looking like a hard no. So our next weapon we're testing is the Wagon Wheel, which ricochets all around like crazy. This potentially could be good. There seems to be a theme with Jacob's weapons just like not really performing with Eraser because of how Eraser works. So let's test this and see if we can get anything good to happen, but I'm not too hopeful. I don't have the best setup right now for this, but we are decent. We are rocking a Hustler. We are rocking lots of Jacob stuff. And it doesn't look like the Wagon Wheel. I'm trying to see if it would be killing more of the enemies that I'm not aiming at. And it just doesn't seem to be the case right now. So our next test on the Wagon Wheel, Will It Eraser, that was head explosion, is looking like a no on the Wagon Wheel as well. All right, so for our next test, we are going for the Gatling lead sprinkler. I'm unfortunately out of iridium, so I was not able to re-roll this thing, but we're gonna go test if it can get Eraser. This thing does some pretty cool splash tricks and does some cool things with splash radius. We're hoping we can get the explosions to do a little bit of chaining. We'll see. It doesn't look like there's any chaining happening off of the initial, you know. Does off of my shots that I'm putting out downrange that are base crits. Doesn't look like there's any additional explosions happening off of those original shots. The goal would be to shoot once and have multiple explosions happen around, and if those explosions were chaining off of each other, we would be seeing, I think, a lot more damage than what we're seeing right now. So I'd known that Jacob's weapons didn't really work with Eraser, but I thought there might be a few exceptions. After testing some of the ones that I thought would be exceptions, Jacob's weapons just don't work with Eraser. And the reason being for this is because Eraser projectiles don't ricochet. So you can hit a crit and have a projectile Eraser and hit another enemy, and you can cause extra damage to them, but you don't get any of these chaining effects that you do with things that do splash damage or have splash damage radius, because the projectile that Eraser hits, when it hits an enemy, there is no chance that that projectile then ricochets again, except for on certain weapons that are already bouncy but not Jacob's ricochets. For example, like the recursion. The recursion works for this, but Jacob's ricochets do not. When they hit an enemy, they do not continue chaining, and you do not see the damage. Even though you may get some Eraser things happening on certain weapons, they're really just not worth using with it. However, this wouldn't be an episode if I didn't show you guys something crazy. So I do got some weapons that I want to show that do work extremely well with Racer. And that weapon is the Jericho. The Jericho, not a very strong weapon. It's honestly not the best Racer weapon, but what this does do is it just explodes your entire screen with splash damage radius weapons. With Racer, every time that they hit and their explosions can crit, because we're using a hustler, you can build up more and more radius. And the Jericho is particularly good at just absolute screen nukage, because it's going to continue to happen and continue to explode, just building that radius. And as long as there's enemies there that it hasn't killed, that radius will just keep growing and growing. So as you can see here, like, just I almost just pushed myself off the map with all the explosions. It also does have some kickback, which is even more fun because you can like fly around with it as well. Someone in my chat called this Borsplosion because it's like exactly like Krieg's Bloodsplosion but with a Racer. I really like that. It's pretty fun. It's not the most practical thing, but it is very fun. I do have another weapon to show for you guys. Also, if you guys would like to see a full build out for this that's really just focused on these Racer weapons, I can do a short little build video. I might honestly call it Borsplosion Zane or something along those lines. And our last weapon to highlight of the episode is the Shocker. The Shocker is a Torgue splash weapon, kind of like the Lob. It fires one projectile and then splits into multiple. And because those are unlisted projectiles and it splits, are the two best things you can have with a Racer is unlisted splitting and splash damage, splash radius. The Shocker can be really good. Now the Shocker is not a good weapon without this trick. And you'll see that if I don't hit a Racer, I just won't do any damage with this thing. But when you do a Racer and you can get the projectiles to pass through and then blow up nearby, or double hitting the same enemy that you shot, so like the projectiles hit and then hit a wall nearby where the explosion hits them again, you can do some crazy things. And I'm going to be using a transformer today on this, like this, because I mean the shock explosions are enormous. But I wanted to get one shotgun in here, or something that wasn't a rocket launcher, because I've been showing off a lot of rocket launchers with this, and it does work with non-rocket launcher things. It's just a little bit more picky. So see how those projectiles just went through that guy? They hit him, they didn't do any damage, but they passed through all the way to the back, and they had crazy radius because they were Racer projectiles, and they ended up killing everything on the bridge because they had that crazy radius and that damage buildup. So that is the best way to use the this Shocker here. And it works really well on bridge. It does not work great against like bosses, but where you have multiple enemies and you can kind of line them up like this, like you can on bridge, this thing is absolutely ridiculous. Crazy. Do you have a few shock bite enemies here that are immune? Alright guys, and that is going to do it for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something new. That little Graveward kill that I did, that was with the Shocker weapon, and the projectiles just travel through Graveward really slowly. I was able to do this kill consistently where I'd shoot and then just like walk away, and eventually the damage would come and kill him. Super cool. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.